Morning, Friday the 5th of August. Been taking buds now 6 days ago. So Saturday I took the first buds for what I'd hoped for bank holiday weekend, and these are the large buds that we see here. And then we've done another bud take on Wednesday, which are those ones there. And then we'll look to do another take again on Monday, Tuesday, which should be national takes, and hopefully there'll be enough of them and some left to go on to Harrogate from there. The plants are doing okay. It's still very, very hot, although today's probably as cool as it's been for a long time at 24 degrees, I reckon. But next week, up to Wednesday, Thursday, we've got 28 degrees and a bit more besides. So generally, they're doing okay. Just keep the watering and feeding. They've been sprayed twice this week. One for red spider mite and the other as a general. And we'll just see how they progress. It's not going to be easy, and I'm not expecting great things. I don't like this sort of weather, and certainly not producing flowers in it, but we can just keep doing what we're doing, see what turns up in the end. Morning, Wednesday again, 10th of August. As you can see, there's some buds about. This is just a oddball plant of Alf Ramsey that made it to the Louis White bed. I thought it was a nice looking plant, that'd be why. So yeah, been taking buds for about 10 days in batches. I still need to finish the batch that I think is going to go to the national. Started that on Monday, which would be about 29 days on my count back anyway, to the national show day itself. Sort of thinking with all this heat, and we're still going to get heat throughout. We're 30 odd degrees today, and they're talking up to 36, maybe 37 Saturday and Sunday. Things are going to move a bit quicker, so I'm sort of trying to be a bit cautious with sizes of buds, but don't have a lot of choice. So I'm just going to water today, maybe get some shade knitting up over the reds, ready for covers that should be going up next week. They're talking a bit of rain maybe next week, so hopefully we get plenty of that before the covers go up, not after. But let's take you through the plot. Here's that's Louis White. Alphys. Now this still there. I think perhaps there's a bud down here. I think that might just beat bank holiday weekend, but we shall see. It's something I do, and I do knock back giants. I know people say don't, but I do. If I've knocked it back, which is a bit hard to see, you can see that one there, that's where I've took the top out and left a shoot. When you get a bit nearer the time, and this is one of them, and I'm sort of knocking these back, certainly the early buds, far enough to think that I might make it to Harrogate with them. I sometimes can't make a decision, so I take all the other shoots off and leave one on that pair, which should be the first one to bud, and also leave one on the next one down. That gives me a choice when it comes to securing the buds, especially when you try to do it for the last show of the season, that if this has got a very big bud in it, I can then pick this one that might have a small bud in it. If that one hasn't got a bud, this one hopefully will have, so I've got a choice, and I just take the remaining one off. I don't think it hurts. You're doing it at a fairly early stage. So that's Alphys. This is Sir Alf Ramsey. You can see the buds coming. These won't look so pretty in a couple of hours time when the heat really does get on them. This is Bryn. That one's having a stretch for the skies. That looks a reasonable sized bud. I don't really know what they're going to do. It's developing in sort of temperatures we've been getting, which have all been sort of mid-late 20s for the last month or so, really. That's Aggie White. Sort of messed up a bit on the Valentine, in the sense that they was all coming very early, so I knocked back, and I think I knocked back a bit too hard, so we've got some lovely shoots, and they've got a tiny bud in there which I have gone in and secured, but I've got a feeling they might just be in between the boats there, but we shall see. There's plenty of them. There's 24 plants, and I'm sure there was some that were right, but I won't get the volume. This is Fairway Spur, probably the earliest bud on the plot is that one, which looks like it might be forming properly, but as you can see, plenty of follow through. Casper, I've got 2 decent plants. I've tried to spread the breaks again with a knock on some, so I've got maybe bank holiday, probably might be after, down every stage to buds, and this plant the same, different size buds. I just might want one to go with either some Valentine that are large or Greta that are large for the Stuart Hogg. I haven't really got much in the way of that third variety, so I've really tried to spread those 2 plants, which I'll free up, so hopefully I might see a giant, you never know, to give me that one flower. We shall see. Other plants in there is Armour's Climax, and at the end here we go up, it's Kia Magic, which has a funny old growth habit. It's just strange, but I've got some buds and then quite a gap before I see any more, so I'm going to have plenty of those for Harrogate, I think, even if they're not much cob. And this is Walter Hardersley, Queen Malvis, and John Hill. Nice selection of buds secured on those. And this plot was aimed to be about a week behind the first plot, because there's just no point in going to Midlands with 23 varieties of giants when you only want 6 in the class, and I think you only need 3 varieties minimum. So I've tried to hold this one back. And what it's probably done actually is been spot on for national timing with a few earlier buds. So I have to sort of bear that in mind. Let's knock him back on here. Then this is White Elvis on the right and Ben Houston on the left. Again, you can see some buds and some just taken, some to come, I hope. This is looking good. This is, I've never seen a flower in person, but this is Sherwell Hannah J. Some nice buds, good habit, nice and strong. Let's see, I did manage to get the breaks in most cases out of the ground, and it'd be interesting to see what that looks like as a new variety. Behind the Tammy, there's a couple of plants amongst the 12 that I just don't like the look of. That's one of them. They're just a bit stunty, but there's one there and I think there's 2 down there, so it's all down to 9 plants. But again, these ones have yet to take, but I have got some reasonable sized buds in there that are secured down to smaller, and I have already secured some at those sizes just on these 2 plants there, so there's more down the row. So hopefully, I only want one. Hopefully I can find it. It's not really a problem that I'm securing these buds today rather than Monday or Sunday, which was 30 days. They're the same buds. It's not like I'm going back down to pea size now, because otherwise they will miss the boat. This is the peaches. So we've got peach on the right and pink peach on the left. I'm just looking at some of these, and I don't know how well focused that will be, but that to me looks like not a good bud. You see the centres, no circle and dot. Looks a bit daisy-eyed. So I'm hoping that's an oddball and the others are going to be okay. It looks like it might be alright. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a few wafty flowers because of this temperatures we've been getting. Just hopefully not too many. There's a couple of what's it called? Rose peach at the end, but they don't seem as strong as the parents. But it might have just been the plants that I got given. And then we've got Go American, which is very short. You get the odd shoots like this that will stretch out, and they tend to be the bit of flowers. But we shall see. So we've got Go American and Hamari Gold, which, as you can see, I've left alone because I really want to be a bit choosy about the buds to get them for the national, and hopefully some of those I might knock back for Harrogate, or pick other buds for Harrogate. Those are the ones I'm hoping for bank holiday. There's a few there, so I had them. And that's the plot. I'm just going to do a watering, just to remind you, involves watering cans and walking from the trough up there down to here. And the water for me is normally 1 2 gallon can between 3 or 4 plants. If it's just water, it's 3. If it's feed, it's 4. And I'm hoping to get through the plot twice today with the watering. I haven't had any water for the last 2 days, but then I had it consecutively 2 days before that. The wasps are about. I'm trying to catch them, but I am catching them, but the traps keep drying out. As you can see, a fine collection of wasps in there. And they just seem to be working on the leaves more than the stems of the plants. And touch wood, I haven't been stung yet, but they're around. Right, time to crack on. Wednesday the 17th. It's still been not nice, not hot, not cool. Had some rain, but as you can see, the path sort of has got a bit. I think someone's got into the beds, but by looking at the other plots that are harder ground where it's sort of run off, you can see there's not much has actually gone in. I'm going to try and put the covers up today on my own, which is nice. Now there's a wind. There wasn't one of these at home. You can see there's plenty of colour, but it isn't good colour. I mean, these are the ones I was sort of hoping for probably 8 days time, cutting for Midlands, and they're well in advance of where they should be. They've got a centre in them. Now this isn't so bad, but it's going to be small. I mean, it is only, you know, probably good size medium now, but it's never going to be a giant. There's still some buds that I've just taken or are there to take, like those. Hopefully they might be Harrogate, and I think they're probably the only buds that got half a chance of being half sensible if the weather sorts itself out and they don't develop in city temperatures. You can see the Ramsey absolutely loaded in petaloids. You could try and pull them out, but I think it becomes a bit of a fool's errand, because if they're full of petaloids, it doesn't help the form. But they're probably slightly better timing. You can just see the wind knocking them about a little bit. It's not that windy, but enough to flap some petals. Brins, didn't rush to put shade net on because I didn't think anything in this last week's going to be bothered by it, but I will put it up hopefully today. And they're probably slightly better timed. I would think that maybe ones like this could be Midlands flowers, but looking at the ones that are coming out, yeah, a stem like that and a flower like that. There's a large one down here by the looks of it, but I've got these massive footstalks and stems, but the flower's not quite matching it. Then we've got the Aggies. Again, probably about right timing wise for me. Valentine, lovely dark red but almost semi-cactus form, which I'm worried whether that's the stock or whether that's the temperatures. But again, anything that you see out now won't make it to next week. It'll push you looking at ones like that. I'm not convinced quite what they're going to look like, but it's a shame. I mean, the plants look as good a set of plants and strength that I've had. Certainly as strong as last year, a bit shorter. I think that's the weather. But the flowers are showing the effects of just pure heat. This is spur. I mean, it's just hasn't got any form about it. In fact, some of them are really nasty. You always get a few dodgy ones, but that one's a completely different colour. That's probably the salmon spur, but the buds are malformed, deformed, malformed. Never going to come to anything. This plot I'm going to perhaps not get covered today because I won't have time or the opportunity. But you can see it's about maybe a week behind the others. Got a Casper here that could make bank holiday. Hopefully I'll get some time off end of the week and try and get these up. Quite a nice looking bud of water hardesley, but again, what it's going to end up like, and there's some nice petaloids in there. Sometimes I just back few get it and I pull them out. The plants, strangely, considering it's not that sunny, are flagging, and I think that's just where we've had cool weather. And now it's just popped out for a bit, warmed up. This is Hannah and Greta. Ben Houston looks about the same. Rihanna, Tammy, a couple of plants in there that aren't quite the same as the others, but it should be alright. We're getting some joy of buds like that, which you do get with the peaches. Just ironically, it seems to be the first ones. But some of these coming forwards look like they'll be formed properly. It's got a dot in the middle. That one hasn't. It's a bit oval, but you do get a few wonky centres. That one might be alright. But they're all following behind, so I don't really need them for anything other than the 12s. Some very early gold that absolutely flew out, but could be giant water lilies maybe. But that's how it is. You can do anything you like about growing, and I think I've got them pretty well timed, well grown, good strength. There's no Ramsey, you know, they're not small in weight, and the timing's about there. It's just the weather conditions that really just bugger it up. But we shall have a go, carry on, and hope that the later flowers get better. Saturday the 20th of August, so we're a week before the bank holiday, a week before Midlands, Essex, and it's still not great. Well, it's never going to be. We've got some pretty wafty forming some of the centre of the blooms. I mean, these flowers, that's never going to hold till Midlands, so that's probably about 24 days from bud to that stage and opening, so at that speed they're not going to be good. Louis is just being Louis, I guess, but still small, probably the bigger of them. Bryn's being naturally big, they're still bigger than the rest, but not big enough. But I'm just hoping some of these buds that are following behind are going to improve as time goes by. Alvis, again, not the worst looking flower in the world, but as you can see by me, my hand, I'm probably lucky if that's 8, maybe 9 inches at the most. I'm probably unlikely to, you know, if that's what I had to go to a show with, I probably wouldn't be going to the show. But again, we've got the spread and hope. So none of these full open flowers or nearly full open flowers are going to make a flower show. We're sort of relying on the ones that are probably like that are flicking back, maybe a bit more, some sort of down there that might make it to the Midlands. Orosics, Ramses, it's the better Ramses. That's an oddball plant up there. Again, not terrible, but there are some with some streaks and petaloids, which I think that's a stock thing rather than a heat thing, but the speed they're opening, I'm not going to enjoy it. And that's the Bryns. You'd hope that maybe something like that, which is, you know, just starting to open, might make a reasonable flower. Again, this is one that's probably done that in 20 odd days. They probably look better on the camera than they do in the flesh, but not too bad size, sort of getting there, but just not enough petal in it. Probably got another, if we're lucky, 2 days in the centre. But again, I'm hoping that some of these will make it through to shows. Not sure that will. Hopefully something like that might. And the ones that are open, I'm trying to hold on to these a bit, but you know, this is, whether it's a not great plant, but the centre's gone. Reasonable depth on it, but again, it is small. It's going to be. Giants don't normally open in 24 days. Louis, much the same story. But again, you see there's plenty to follow through. Valentines, not much to say about them really. I'm sure they're going to be large again, but in some cases we've probably got large semi-cactus. There's quite a big jump between the flowers that you see now and where the next buds are, which is that's coming a bit early, so I started knocking them back, but sort of set them all back. This is probably going to be a waste of time. This is I would say a stock problem, not necessarily weather. It's a whole bed of spur, but you know, that's really not good, and that is shocking. It's a different colour. They're sort of salmon pink. So maybe when Tony had the sport, he had it on good stock, but I don't think I'm going to get much out of that one, which is fine. You can cope with that. There's 22 varieties to play with. This bed I haven't covered yet. Didn't see the need, and my back was hurting. And the plot is pretty much a week behind. There's a couple of blooms that I wanted to have a look at, and I'll show you because it's quite nice. This is Sherwell Hannah J. You can see some Greta popping out there. They were meant to be just for an odd few for Midlands, but they're out now. This is Hannah J, and all weather and things aside, again it's open very quick. It's not the biggest flower, but it's got some nice tidy form. That was Rana Tammy. Peaches, being peaches. So it's probably be the last video before show season, so I'll end this one here. And the next one might be at the shows, but I probably won't be at many on this next coming weekend.